Hey, what's up everybody? So today I have with me joined James Hansen, and we're going to be talking about Goku's new form, Ultra Instinct Omen, I believe as well, from Dragon Ball Super, the latest stuff that just went down in the Goku versus Jiren fight. We're going to be talking about the form or transformation or technique, depending on what you want to call it right now, because in reality, and I think you could agree with me, what we're going to be talking about is not necessarily complete information. I feel as though we have incomplete information because we've gotten just a glimpse of it in this fight, so we could talk about based on what we know, and then a lot of it is just theories. Am I safe to say that as of right now we still don't have all the facts?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah. Now, because, like, is this an ability or is it a form? Would you class it as?
Yeah, see, the thing about it is with Saiyans, because, like, okay, for example, you look at the gods. They're gods and they have god power. With the Saiyans, it's always been sort of a transformation rather than just with the gods. It's just them using their techniques, because go back to Goku's god form, for example, and I believe we were talking about this earlier off camera or whatever. Goku's god form, it was a transformation, but Beerus is using the same type of ki energy and whatnot, and Vegeta uses this form as well, that it's just a technique to him. It's just him using his powers. So I think it's safe to say that it's, for the Saiyans at the very least, more so a transformation, but with people like Beerus or any of the other gods, Champa, whatever,
just, like,
they're just
breathe
using...
into them, yeah.
Yeah, essentially is more natural to them. So I think for Goku, and if Vegeta or whoever other Saiyans get this power, we can classify with them it as a transformation, because the interesting thing about this is that this is one of the things where I really appreciated it. This was foreshadowed for a while, because if you remember correctly, you go back to, I believe it was first stated in the Resurrection F arc when Goku and Vegeta were training with Whis and Beerus a little bit, I believe. They were talking about this, the ability to be able to move in a fight without thinking, just naturally be able to block and not think, oh, I gotta block.
Yeah,
so
you had people like Goku or Vegeta that was like hesitating, and then you had people like Goku who was pissing around too much during the fighting, and Whis was like, hey, you guys need to just move without even thinking about it and just, like, you know, adapt into that speed and that kind of mobility. So,
and that's great.
Yeah.
Because, like, it goes back to, again, something that Whis has been trying to teach them. I think in Resurrection F, it was still a lesson that they were trying to learn, and then, of course, it wasn't really addressed too much throughout the following arcs, Goku Black, as well as, you know, the Tournament of Power up until this point. It really wasn't touched upon that much, that Goku, his problem is that he's too lax, and Vegeta's is that he's too wound up. You need to find a happy medium. And then, of course, one of the big things as well is the fact that somebody like even Beerus has not mastered this ability. So I want to really kind of key in on that particular point. Do you think, based on what we've seen thus far with Goku versus Jiren, him in this transformation, the Ultimate Instinct or Ultra Instinct, transformation, do you think that that signifies that Goku, at the very least when he has that power, has surpassed Beerus?
In terms of experience, probably not. Like, yeah, Beerus is going to be shook because, oh crap, we got some actual competition going on now. Like, you see, with what's his name, Bermold, the Joker looking guard.
Yeah,
he's
Bermold,
obviously
yeah.
like, he's completely like accepted the fact that Jiren has like surpassed him in so many ways. Beerus, on the other hand, I feel like he's more shook rather than accepting that, oh god, or pleased for the fact that, you know, Goku's surpassed him in that aspect. If we were to put these two in a fight, I'd say, like, no, I feel like Beerus would still have it. But saying that, I generally think that Goku has now awakened something of which Beerus now realizes he needs to up his game. And I feel like maybe that's the realization that Beerus feels, is like, oh shit, I've got to, like, kind of, you know, train up myself and stop being so lax on these guys. And, you know, during the situation that they're in as well, I feel like he's in a whirlwind full of emotion. Like the other 15 minutes ago, he was dead under some rubble, and now he's like, what the fuck's going on? So I feel like the context right here is kind of like, yeah, he's shook because there's so many different aspects going on around the Tournament of Power right now.
Yeah, I mean, something that kind of ties into that as well is the fact that it was confirmed, and it was confirmed in these episodes 109, 110, but it was also even confirmed in some information that was leaked just a few days before these episodes aired, was that Jiren is the mortal. He's indeed the mortal that is said to have power that is possibly at or greater than the gods. Now, it's a hard thing to say because...
He is the mortal power himself, isn't he? He is like the universe's own mortal ranking.
Yeah, but yeah, he pretty much is the reason why Universe 11 is so highly regarded for strength and whatnot. Him, I think Topo does add to a certain degree, because we've seen Topo throwing hands with Super Saiyan Blue Goku. That mustache is lit. No, but so you go to that, but you gotta, and I talked about this a little bit in a couple of my reviews and stuff like that, but you gotta ask yourself one big question: is all the gods at the same level? Because, you know, obviously in the manga and anime, they do have somewhat different continuities, because in the manga we just seen one of the latest chapter, all of the gods of destruction throwing down, and it seemed as though they were trying to all come after Beerus, and Beerus somewhat had the upper hand. He was evading, he was throwing hands, he wasn't outclassed. So you gotta ask, okay, if Jiren is indeed at the level of a god of destruction, does that mean he's at the level of Beerus as well? And if he is at the level of Beerus, and we've seen that Goku was pushing him back, he was giving him a little bit of a run for his money in the short amount of time that he was in Ultra Instinct form, does that signify that indeed in that form Goku could take out Beerus by himself, not needing Vegeta's help?
Probably not, personally. I mean, as you were going back to like, are all the gods of destruction the same level? I don't think none of them have even experienced the Ultra Instinct transformation or ability, so to say. So they still are very different in their own sets of like power-wise and experience and techniques, I feel. So it really boils down to that. But if Goku, honestly, at this moment, probably not, because obviously his stamina and all that. If we're talking in that form, can he outclass Beerus or something? Probably push him back a little bit, for sure. And Jiren, like, obviously Jiren, we know he's stronger than his own universe god, so, I mean, you know, could Beerus take on Jiren? Ooh, that's a question, but, oof. Yeah,
I don't see it. I
don't see,
because
but that's headcanon. Like, from the information we have, it's like, what do we believe in at the moment? It's down to personality, and I don't think Beerus would be pushed back by Jiren, but I do feel like it would be a very close match.
We gotta also go back to something that is a little bit out of universe, more so in the writing aspect. A comment that was made by Akira Toriyama a few months ago, probably a little more than a few months ago, maybe half a year ago, somewhere. It's been a while, but he did make this comment that at the time he currently had no plans of Goku surpassing Beerus. And, you know, you go back and it all really doesn't make sense. But then again, let's be honest, everybody. Let's not bullshit around. The power scaling in Dragon Ball Super is illogical. It doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah,
because
I want to bring something up, actually. In the Battle of the Gods movie, the first one, it was stated that when Goku was fighting Beerus, he was like, oh, I'm only using like 80%. Of his
70,
power.
I believe.
70 or 80 Goku was using.
Yeah.
And Beerus was like shocked by that. Shocked by the fact that like, oh shit, like he's pushing me back and he's only using this much. And we've seen how much.
I believe you're misremembering. I believe it was that Beerus was using 70%, which is still an incredible amount of his strength that he's using.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Without a doubt.
So, and I think I know where you was going with this. Essentially, let's just say Goku at his max during the period of Battle of Gods was at 70% of Beerus's. If you think about it, Super Saiyan Blue and then the Kaioken times 10. Logically speaking, the Kaioken times 10 Super Saiyan Blue should have been enough to wipe the floor with Beerus, right?
I mean, he was shook at the Universe 6 and 7 arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was like, oh shit, he was going to use that technique against me, and Beerus was kind of like, you know, like, oh shit. So, I mean, continuity-wise, I mean, it doesn't speak that, but, like, I'd like to believe that Beerus is still, like, outmatching Goku in all forms and shapes.
Yeah, on top of that, based on what we've seen in the fight against Jiren, Goku using the Ultra Instinct technique, he's clearly nowhere near mastering that form. I wouldn't be surprised if, at the most, maybe we might see that form pop up one more time. during this tournament, because if you go back, and it's interesting because a lot of what we're getting, you can go back to Battle of Gods and kind of see the resemblance in a bit, is that Goku might not be able to obtain that particular technique right now or anytime soon, but because of who he is and his Saiyan DNA and everything, and just that he's an incredible martial artist and he understands things and he picks up very quickly, he might be able to still use some of that without having to go into the quote-unquote
we spoke about this like very vaguely before the call, and we were talking about like, obviously, if Goku can learn this ability, just like with Super Saiyan God, then all he has to do is add like Saiyan Ki so he can go Super Saiyan. And obviously that's where you have the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Blue. What stops him, if this is an ability where it is just a technique where you're just moving your body on its own, what is stopping him from going Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan in that state and getting even stronger? Because you're just amplifying that form. You're just
I'll play devil's advocate to that real quick.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
With Spirit Bomb, Goku, and he did it towards the end in the fight against Kid Buu, in order to gather the energy and do all those things, he has to be in base form because he's not able to.
The impurities, of a Saiyan.
So who's to say that it would distract the ultimate or ultra instinct form? I keep saying ultimate, like what's wrong?
Ultra instinct.
Yeah, the ultra instinct form, who's to say that he wouldn't be able to? Because you do realize that, going Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Blue, it puts a certain amount of strain on the body of, whoever's using it, whatever. So maybe Goku wouldn't be able to stack, so to say, all that power on top of it, because then he wouldn't be able to move his body the way it needs to move in the Ultra Instinct. So there's a possibility in the Ultra Instinct he needs to be base, which base
I feel like there's
Goku.
a difference here. There's a big difference, because Ultra Instinct is just, from my view on things anyway, it is just an ability or a know-how on how to move your body at its own free will. Now, how did Goku get into that state in the first place? It was triggered by the Spirit Bomb, and he used some of the power of the Spirit Bomb to be able to achieve that. And just like Super Saiyan God, it generally what was it? It generally flooded out, like it generally decreased as the fight was going, and that's what was happening with his Ultra Instinct form. It wasn't that his stamina or his body wasn't up to it. It was like that power was literally draining as he was in that form. So if he was to do it on his own without relying on a Spirit Bomb trigger, it is possible that, I generally think anyway, it's possible that he can maintain that ability for a little bit long during a fight.
Okay, let's dive a little bit deeper. Because you just stated, which is obviously a fact, based on what we said anyway, that he was not necessarily, it was the energy from the Spirit Bomb, although I'd imagine some of it went into him, but it was more so a trigger for him to obtain the Ultra Instinct form.
And we specify trigger. We won't specify. Yeah, we won't specify absorbing a Spirit Bomb, because that didn't happen. No.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think about it was the trigger? Do you think it was the purity of the energy? Do you think it was the impact of the energy? Or do you think it was just Goku, I guess you could say, being pushed back into it?
Without a doubt an impact. Because as we see, we had two powers or two forces literally crushing the Spirit Bomb to a point where it literally imploded into itself. So it was that explosion of energy probably rushing through Goku's body, of which he had to fucking trigger something for him to get out that situation. And it was because of that implosion of energy that rushed through his body was probably the trigger, or some absorption to some extent, like in a very vague sense, that allowed him to.
Let's look a little forward, because let's be honest, at some given point, unless this is a Super Saiyan 3 sort of deal, Vegeta will probably obtain this, and it'll probably it'll probably be in a different manner. How do you think Vegeta's gonna get it? This is, I guess, a little bit of a theory time, because it's not gonna be the same case.
Yeah, I feel like Goku's going to try and explain to Vegeta that feeling, because Saiyans get a lot of their kind of ability or transformation off feeling. Like when Goku went Super Saiyan for the first time, obviously he told Vegeta. Well, no, he didn't tell Vegeta. No,
Vegeta managed to do it on his own.
Yeah, he kind of did it on his own.
You were on point to a certain degree, because look at when Kaba was
and stuff like that.
When Kaba was explaining to Caulifla and Kale how to obtain Super
the
Saiyan
feeling in the back.
Yeah, as
But
stupid as that sounds.
We can go earlier than that. We can go to Gohan, where like they were in the hyperbolic time chamber, and like Goku was saying, "Hey, you know, just get that anger, like feel that anger and push it out." So like,
so
if
possibly he could explain it to Vegeta in a way of like, "Hey, you need to feel, you know, either this rush or
like tranquility or like."
Yeah, depending on it's either it's an extreme on one side of the spectrum or the other. It's either an extreme amount of tranquility or an extreme rush of not necessarily anger like Super Saiyan, but maybe just a cockiness, because it seems as though a lot of it has to do with I don't want to use the word cocky. I can't really think of the term right now, but more so being confident. Arrogance, yeah. So arrogance as well. We could go.
Here's another hypothesis for you. Do you think that possibly because we've seen a theory of a triggered spirit bomb work, do you think someone like Whis, for example, can replicate that explosion and do it to like Beerus or even Vegeta to some extent and force it out of them?
Well, who's to say that? Because again, with the Saiyans is a little bit different. Who's to say that Beerus can do that without being, you know, Saiyan? Because again, I personally look at it as similar to Super Saiyan God, where other people can't do it the same way because it's more so a transformation for somebody like Goku or Vegeta, opposed to Beerus and the gods, that is just a natural, you know, it's like breathing to them.
True. Yeah, true.
So
I feel it's like one of those pushed over the edge kind of techniques that like it's do or die.
Okay, and I want to ask one more question before we wrap this up. I think we've touched up on a lot of, again, because these type of videos right now, we're just explaining what we know so far. There's a lot of mystery still to this very amazing transformation. I thought it was really awesome. Where do you rank the Ultra Instinct technique or ability or transformation, whatever you want to call it, in comparison, as far as, you know, you could say in favoritism or whatever, in comparison to like when Goku went Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2 or 3 or 4, how do you feel about it? You know, just a little bit of your own.
Ooh, okay. Personally, like, I've always loved the transformation of Super Saiyan 3. I thought that was very impactful. But I'd say higher than Super Saiyan, less than Super Saiyan 3. I felt like Goku had achieved that form himself, and there was a lot of strain and a lot of, even though like it's a meme of the loud fucking screaming and all that stuff for like 15 minutes, you know, pure screaming, but like it felt like, you know, Goku was pushing himself. Ultra Instinct felt like it was essentially handed to him. And even though it was badass and the animation was amazing and he gave off this maliciousness to it and like, I wouldn't say evil, but just this, you know, this calm, oh fuck, this dude's about to fuck us up feel, I essentially preferred the Super Saiyan 3 of like, he was pushing his literal boundary to reach this transformation, and it impacted very well.
Okay, I mean, for me, it's one of the reasons you mentioned why I don't rank it higher. I think it was incredible. It's top 3 for me, but it's below Super Saiyan 1 and Super Saiyan 3. Goku Super Saiyan, and I'm specifically speaking on Goku because I know Gohan Super Saiyan 2 was really badass, and
it
so on
was
and so forth.
Really amazing, yeah.
But just on Goku, because Super Saiyan 1, it was legendary. Beyond just Dragon Ball Z, it inspired so many different things, supersonic and everything. To me, I have to put that number 1 because it went beyond just the series, the badassery of Dragon Ball Z. It went beyond a lot. It inspired a lot. So for me, it's Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 3, and then Ultra Instinct, because Ultra Instinct, between, you know, the aesthetics alone, the art and animation, the gorgeousness of it, the badassery of it, and, you know,
the hype. Do you think it lacked emotion that Super Saiyan 1 and 3 had?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I will say it lacked a bit, but you got to remember at the same time what we was watching surrounding it. Everybody was just devastated. They thought Goku was wiped off the map. You know what I mean?
For sure,
yeah. It did have some emotion. It just didn't have, like with Super Saiyan 1, it was like Krillin just died. So, and I guess really, really quickly, we'll add this in there. Let's talk quickly about the terrible thing that happened. What was terrible? Was it the fact that Goku seemingly died? What terrible thing happened in this 1 hour special that was hyped up? Something terrible was supposed to happen. What was terrible?
What was terrible about it?
What was terrible about even the special as a whole, but leading into the transformation as well?
Honestly, I didn't really have any complaints. If anything, it was going to be more about Jiren. it felt like Goku was obviously him going form by form by form and transformation by transformation. It was really cool, but it really made something as hype as Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken just seem worthless. And we know the strain, and we know the power, the implications to this transformation, and it really just made it seem like it was nothing. It was pointless. Why did it exist?
Okay, let me rephrase the question, because I think you misunderstood a little bit. In the hype and the promos to it, they were saying that in this 1 hour special, something terrible is supposed to happen, in the sense of like either the way they made it seem was like a death is supposed to happen, or something like that.
Yeah.
But nothing. I'm assuming it's Goku's seemingly death. That was the terrible thing.
I think that was it. Yeah, or like he was doing the spirit bomb and like he was struggling because that's where like the first episode cut out. So it was kind of like, it was like, oh no, Goku's in trouble, something terrible is gonna happen. And then like he fucking dies, and like the
and Jiren basically, Jiren kind of outclassing him in every which way up until Ultra Instinct. So I think that was the terrible thing as well. It's like, we thought our boy had a shot, and it wasn't until that transformation that he was able to do anything against Jiren.
Yeah.
So yeah, once again, thank you for joining me, James. I really appreciate it. I had a blast. Absolutely, anytime. Kinda curious what you guys think about it. Ultra Instinct, I guess one question, where does it rank in, if we're regarding it as a transformation, as far as like, you know, all of Goku's transformations he's had in the past? Do you think it's a transformation? Do you think it's just an ability? Or do you side in the way I said, well, where like with the gods, it's natural as breathing, but with Saiyan, similar to Super Saiyan God, it is indeed a transformation, because that's how they obtain these crazy powers. And your overall thoughts of this technique, and do you think we'll see it again in the Tournament of Power, or ever again in Super Period? And how will Vegeta, so many questions to ask about this, how will Vegeta obtain this power if he does obtain it? And last thing, did Goku surpass Beerus with Ultra Instinct? Let us know in the comment section below. And yeah, that's all we have for this one though. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything we had to say or enjoyed the video, drop us a like, we greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, ForneverWorld, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.
And you've been Hansened. Peace out.
俺はチンチンの大好きのですが、Peace.